Hello there, this is a video message for my sister Mia Dunkley. Do you remember me, Mia, your brother? Haven't seen me for a while, have you? I haven't seen you for a while either. I think it's about 8 years or something like that, or maybe it's 9 years now, coming on 10 years. I haven't spoken to you, we haven't seen each other. Um, all very, very suspicious, isn't it, Maya? Especially given that I have been told, or you were busy working together with mum and dad telling me that sinus cancer symptoms, or very serious sinus cancer symptoms, are normal, apparently, putting me in a position of brutal torture, left to be obviously quite, badly mutilated. This is my mouth, teeth and face, as you can probably see, a mild distortion to my face and change of the shape of my mouth and teeth and change of identity, even a loss of identity thanks to all this horrific abuse. But having said that, I don't think it's a terribly good idea just to run away and change your telephone number, Maya. I mean, that's extremely suspicious again, isn't it? I mean, why would you be running away and trying to change your telephone number? Um, Other than just, make a big advert that you're paranoid about something and feel very guilty about something and might be trying to cover up something extremely serious. Of course, suspicious behaviour, leads to suspicious thinking, doesn't it? And quite rightly so. Now, as you probably are aware, I haven't seen my son Benjamin since 2014. I haven't heard a lot from mum and dad either, and as you're also probably aware, dad's being investigated by police at the moment. This is senior police officers at Dorset Police, my local police force here, to try and discover what his motives were and what his part was, as he very clearly seems to have been the mastermind in my rather medieval treatment and barbaric torture that I was subjected to. So now the situation is with him now that the police are aware that this is our father, Dr. Edward Galizia, is guilty of some very, very serious crimes. And again, like yourself, his extremely suspicious behaviour only highlights that fact. Now, luckily for our father, he is 87, 88 years old, somewhere around that figure, and completely regardless of whether he's guilty or not, and whether he has been committing these awful crimes, it's too late to do anything about it. In other words, he is so old that the police really, don't have anything they can really actively physically do, to apprehend him or even caution him or even tell him off for that matter, in the, of course, the fear and possible instance that he has a heart attack or something, or a stroke, under the stress. 88-year-old man accused of, 25 years of heinous crime, all of a sudden, drops dead. And of course, this doesn't mean that he's innocent. It probably just means that he was guilty right from the start. But it wouldn't reflect very well on Dorset Police. And the second problem here is that if they did ruffle his collar, even in spite of the fact, again, he does clearly seem to be, very guilty of the charges that I've outlined. And just to get to the point here, I first had to report Dad to Avon and Somerset Police. That was in July of last year, 2019, on a visit to Bath at the One Stop Police Station in Bath for this extraordinary rant that Dad issued to me down the telephone that went something along the lines of, oh, well, I can use cancerous tumours to butcher and mutilate anybody that I like, because I'm a doctor and we have the power to do this. We have the power to terminate a patient's life if we so wish, or use the disease to torture them and mutilate them if we feel like it's appropriate. And possibly maybe because we don't like them. And this might be a useful way of exacting our dislike and punishment upon this innocent victim. Given this rather extraordinary rant, that I was given down the phone, then of course I was left with no option but to go to the police and say, look, something seems to be very out of control here. I mean, if a retired doctor is ranting and raving and raging about using cancer to just ruthlessly torture, mutilate and murder innocent people, then something really needs to be done about this. And of course, it's the very last thing I wanted to do, Mara, is go down to the police station and start reporting our father, Dr. Galitzin, for all this fucking ridiculous list of crimes that really is nothing more than a total embarrassment, really, for other family members like myself and everybody else associated with our family. And I was clearly and plainly forced to do so in the most extenuating circumstances and under extreme provocation. So yeah, that's how it all started. And as I say, that is very clearly a very serious offence. He's very clearly guilty. I mean, he's clearly obviously part of a much bigger group here. He's working on behalf of a much bigger corporate bunch of people, people that work for large corporate organisations, very, very rich, powerful people who all seem to have an eye out for our father. And, quite simply because he's in their little club, and in their little group. It's a bit like the Masons, isn't it? And the funny handshake group. They're all just extremely very rich, powerful people that go out of their way to protect each other. And of course that means the first thing that means is bending the law. If one of them accidentally tortures and butchers and murders somebody, then the rest of them rush to go help them and get them out of jail. And what you slowly discover is that, this band of people I'm talking about is nothing more than the mafia. Our father is working for mafia-controlled organised crime, quite as simple as that. And very clearly he is, if he's left bad mutilations on me and is denying that they even exist or trying to. I mean, very clearly, there's something amiss here. And I think that's what it is. And of course, as I say, if the police try and ruffle the collar of somebody like that, who is part of a much bigger group of mafia-controlled organised crime, then you can imagine the consequences, and this is what Dorset police, I think, are actually really worried about. Not so much worried about his age or the fact that he's guilty. They're worried about the repercussions if they ruffle his collar from huge corporate organisations, and this goes right back to the banks, of course, that are capitalising on this cancer problem. And the scam that I've unravelled, and it might be worth actually you watching one or two other YouTube videos that I've made. This is regarding the sinus cancer scam, to better understand my situation and the politics of what's happening in more accurate detail, if you care to do so. All the information's there, but I have rumbled a massive scam, and the banks and Cancer Research UK do seem to be behind this, and these are the people, these are the mafia-controlled organised crime I'm talking about, the banks and Cancer Research UK, who have been rumbled, basically, running a worldwide racket, and an absolutely massive, horrible scam, sickening scam, one of the most clearly evil and corrupt and oldest scams on the planet, not just the biggest. And there's all kinds of very exciting things happening here, but it's also, of course, very tense. And as I say, regardless of whether Dad's guilty or not, now the police have realised that there's really not a lot they can do to touch him. Basically, he's more powerful than they are, and woohoo, that gives Dad basically, the right just to roll around, with all his money and brag about, how he's above the law, because he is, or does seem to be, and he's clearly befriended the right people in order to be above the law. And but as I say, this doesn't really make him any less guilty. I mean, or the people that he works for any less guilty. It in many ways just helps to confirm everything I've been saying is true right from the start. And well, in light of all this, we have to ask ourselves what's happened to you, Maya. I mean, I tried to call your number, didn't I? But you've changed your number. I presume you're still living at the same address. And I have to ask myself, really, in light of your very strange behaviour, you clearly seem to be acting in a very guilty, suspicious sort of fashion, in light of the fact you can't actually communicate with me or discuss anything with me, or air any of your concerns, or what might be troubling you or upsetting you, or your reasons for not speaking to me. I mean, all of this, you know, you had an opportunity to tell me about, but obviously haven't done. And this is raising further suspicions, Maya, which of course, you know, I have to pass on to the police. And as each day passes now, I mean, I literally have more and more fresh evidence, new evidence arriving from every angle, lots of different angles to support again, you know, the fact that everything I've said is true down to the last letter, and has been right from the start. And I think, yes, it would be a good idea you watch some of my other videos to try and get a better idea of what's happening here. I think also it would be a good idea if you try and make an effort to contact me. I just reel off my telephone number now, I suppose, because you might have lost it. That's 077 2277 0732. That's 077 2277 0732. And my landline is 01202 900 514. That's 01202 900 514. I am in the evening and you can ring it if you like, and I might be there to answer it. I think that we should try and work together to repair some of the wounds and damage done here, because even if it's just for the benefit of, I mean, the general benefit of everyone in the family, and, you know, and maintaining a more respectable front for the outside world, then I think that it would be a very good idea to push forward and try and make some progress with repairing relations, healing some wounds, and discussing, you know, openly and honestly what has upset each other, what is going on, and how we can put a good foot forward to repair damages and make way for a brighter future, pave the way for, you know, better days to come. Now, as you probably know, I mean, there are, you know, just briefly I'll touch on, you know, I have made videos. This is for the Norwegian police recently, who are currently trying to find out what's happened to my son, or at least trying to find whether they are actually trying to find out, I mean, or whether they're just trying to help, you know, Anita Fairbairn cover up crimes from her past and intimidate my son, which seems to be much more closer to the truth. Again, we're just trying to find out what's going on there, and I even have Dorset Police, as my local police force here, investigating the Norwegian police, who quite clearly appear to be threatening my son. So in other words, the Norwegian police seem to be helping Anita Fairbairn cover up crimes from her past, cover up a whole list of awful atrocities that she would like them to help her cover up, because they would very clearly put her in jail if somebody found out about them. I mean, it's just laughable. It really is comedy. I mean, it's so pathetic and so ludicrous. You know, the police have to rush to the help of some pathetic, spineless serial daddy murderer, practically. You know, and or maybe it's more accurate to call her a daddy slayer. I mean, quite simply because she just, I mean, literally just terminates fathers like that as soon as she meets them. And, you know, the facts speak louder than the words. The fact that her died so quickly, the fact that I suffered such serious abuses at her hands, the fact that she's making so many efforts to cover up all this tragedy, you know, and the fact my son has no father now and no grandpa, you know, and this is the real point. You know, Benjamin has no father and no grandpa, quite simply because his mother wants to behave like an evil serial daddy killing maniac, you know, and then she gets help from the police. Yeah, I mean, it's who are basically trying to help her, just, you know, stack up lies on top of lies, crime on top of crime, you know, literally using crime to cover up crime and threats and terrorism to cover up crime. So you've got this escalating pile of bullshit and crime just growing bigger literally by the day. And that is the God's honest truth, because, I mean, literally every day I wake up, they've committed another crime. Because every day that you're threatening my son and taking him away and silencing him, isolating him, terrorising him, that's a crime committed. You know, and for as long as they carry on like that and do absolutely nothing to stop it, then quite clearly, I mean, the crime is getting bigger every day. And that's not the only people who are escalating crimes at the moment. I mean, there's other people as well. I mean, I think in some ways even you might fall into that category, you know, and so does Dad, and so does a lot of other people. And what we're finding out at the moment is that these crimes are not going away. You know, just because these people want to ignore them and try and brush them under the carpet and make all these silly excuses, it doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it go away. it just makes them get bigger. So obviously I think this is the wrong approach, and what we need to do is try to be a little bit more open, a little bit more honest, or or a lot more honest to be truthful. And with that sort of attitude, I think we'll make some astounding progress. And on that note, I won't go on for too long, but I hope you can appreciate some of my concerns. I hope you're doing okay. I hope everything's all right in Guildford. Personally, I'm just coming out the other side of some rather nasty symptoms. I've still been battling these symptoms up to a very recent date. I'm still a little bit kangaroo hopping, stopping and starting up and down, have good days and bad days, but I am getting better. There is a slow, steady rise in my improvements and progress, and at last, after so many years just being flatlined, and I think that's all the more reason really that something it happens now, and we start to make some progress. And of course, what else? What's the other alternative here? That mum and dad are just going to die, aren't they? We're just going to, this is the other ridiculous thing that's happening here. They've just got this awful silence from mum and dad. I'm literally just sat here waiting for the phone to ring, to tell me that, oh yes, your mum and dad are dead. They've just died of a heart attack. While they were struggling to get shopping out of a car or something, that I could have helped them with. And it's like, what the hell? They're being forced to, struggle on their own, in, again, very pressing circumstances, being forced literally to isolate their son and intimidate and terrorise me, when they are the only people who are suffering. They're the people who are paying the price at the moment. And it's the most ridiculous, outrageous stupidity I've ever heard of. And I hope you can do something to stop this, Maya, with due haste and good speed. And at that point, I should say goodbye and hope to hear from you soon. Perhaps give me a call or something like that. That would be great. Thank you very much. Goodbye.